Go ahead.
One.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, you got to cheers me? I'm sorry. Here, go.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Yes.
Happy holidays.
Sweet
May the rest of your holidays go just as smoothly as the start of this event here. Hey, guys, let me ask you. Holiday season's here. We've had a little bit of food. We're going to talk about some more food. But what is y'all's favorite holiday food? Now I'll start over here to my left.
Oh, cookies.
Cookies, like any specific cookie? I need some specificity.
Holly berry cookies that my grandmother used to make. It's like basically...
From the fresh holly berry bush?
No, it's cornflakes and marshmallows, and you put green food coloring on them, and then you put them out out on a tray to cool, and you put like red hots on them, and it makes them look like little holly berries. Best all time.
Magic. That sounds fantastic.
I'm going with the ham.
The ham?
The glazed ham.
Ooh.
Glazed ham with some pineapple.
Now, do you have that just at Christmas?
Well, we
Or
also
New Year's?
do a ham
Or
at
Thanksgiving
too, but that's along with the turkey. But ham rides solo at Christmas time. So
I'd like to hear.
Yeah.
Ham solo.
I'll go sausage balls.
Sausage
love
balls.
those sausage balls.
That's a holiday tradition?
Oh, yeah, because
I'll drink to that.
my aunt, rest in peace, she used to make sausage balls all the time, but we would get them a lot on Christmas, like a big tub of them.
Yeah. Okay.
And eventually my dad started making them, and it just rolled over into a holiday tradition. Either that or the funeral sandwiches, like the turkey and ham. And
the ham and cheese
with the
poppy seed,
the butter
glaze,
just
mustard.
pour all over.
whatever that secret
No,
sauce.
definitely the sausage balls. And it's only in this time of season the wife will start making them. She'll make a big batch. We'll eat off of them all week and have them for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack time, whatever. It's a great time.
We make those all the time.
Well, and that to
Yeah,
that. So
well,
Katie goes
that's-
to a
that
women's
makes it
group
special.
like once a week, and
Yeah.
they request her sausage balls. They know about her balls.
Nice.
Katie's
Hey
balls.
guys, welcome to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show Holiday Edition. You got the gang from Three Beers Down here with us, having a little bit of a crossover episode here on the podcast. We appreciate you guys joining us here for the holiday season. We're going to talk about barbecue today. We've got Hickory's Barbecue, 6 different varieties of it, and we're going to talk about each one of them. We're going to pick out one of the best. Stay tuned. We're going to tell you the best barbecue in the Hickory Metro. We're going to judge all of those, talk a little bit about each one of those. These guys have brought some of their favorite beer for the holiday season. We're going to get into a little bit of that. So fun stuff ahead. We're going to rank each one of these, and again, by the end of the show, you'll know what beer you want to drink for the holidays. You'll want to know what kind of pulled pork you want to have when you go out and have pulled pork. And I know that if you go to lowslowbbqshow.com, you can find more blogs, podcast interviews, episodes, all the great stuff that's going on in our barbecue world. Please go there and subscribe to the Lowdown newsletter. Again, lowslowbbqshow.com. When you subscribe to the newsletter, we'll send you all the latest Carolina barbecue news right to your inbox on Tuesdays, Josh. Yep, you can subscribe right now to lowslowbbqshow.com. So that being said, our introduction out of the way, I'm going to let each one of you guys introduce yourself. Of course, I'm Chigger Willard, the host of the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. Glad to be with you guys. And I want to introduce our friends from the Three Beers Down episode. And this is kind of a holiday tradition. We got our ugly sweaters on. We drink some beers. We have some fun.
What year is this that we've done the holiday get-together gathering?
Is this
It's got to be
five?
the 5th year, I
I
think.
think this is 5th.
Ish, I think
5-ish.
So introduce yourself to my
All
left.
right, Matt Everly.
Luke Sears.
Where'd I look? Josh Elder coming at you
Josh
live.
Elder, and this will be our first episode that actually appears on YouTube and to our YouTube audience out there. So excited to have our people see us and see our messy barbecue table and look out on Instagram for all that. So guys, let's just jump right into it. I'm going to start with the pork. I know we've got some cool barbecue and some cool beer in front of us, I should say, but let's start with the pork, and I'm going to go with number 1. We're going to take this simple. Let me first tell everybody again sort of the concept here. I went to 6 barbecue joints around the Hickory Metro. These are the barbecue restaurants that are most often mentioned on social media when people says, where's the best barbecue in town? Where can I get the best barbecue? Where is it? And it's always hotly debated. You know how social media is.
Yeah.
People like to get out there and they do their trolling, they do their loving, and they're promoting. It's barbecue space, so I'm going to give people props for promoting their favorite barbecue. So I went to 6 of them. I'll tell you guys, I went and picked them up on Thursday afternoon, the day we're broadcasting here on the 19th. Guys, I drove 66 miles on my little ride.
Just for us. There we go.
Yep, I went to Hudson. I went to Gamewell. I went to Taylorsville. I came back to Valley Hills Mall area.
So far 3 outside of Hickory.
And then back into the downtown Hickory area. Yeah, I included 3 of those outside of Hickory because that's our Hickory
metropolitan.
It took me a couple hours on the road, but I got all this stuff in the coolers, and I kept it pretty simple with everybody. I rang all these places up on the way and said, I want a pound of pulled pork and a pint of slaw. And whatever happened after that happened. Sometimes they said, well, do you want sauce? Sure, what do you recommend? If they said, well, we've got this, this, and this, I generally pick pork. I picked up vinegar. If they said, do you want white slaw or red slaw? By the way, they only said that once. And I said red. Interestingly enough, all 5 other stops on the slaw circuit were white slaw, which I think is kind of interesting in our part of North Carolina. So strange. Anyway, let's start from the top. That's sort of the concept. I want us to go through each one of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, give you kind of your flavor, what you thought about it, your opinions and impressions, and then at the end, we're going to say which one was our favorite because we've tabulated all the tallies here in our little tallywhacker book, as I've been calling it. That's probably not appropriate. I got us a PG-13.
Unless you lived in Hickory and you visited Tallywhackers often, the old restaurant. Do you know about that?
No, that was before my time.
It was the male version of Hooters, right?
So, it sounds like a good time to start with number 1. Barbecue number 1. Guys, what was your thoughts about our sample number 1?
It was my favorite.
Your favorite?
Yeah, the flavor was awesome for number 1.
Flavor was
it was
awesome.
Good stuff, yeah.
I would say that it had a good look to it.
Yeah,
there was a lot of nice
good.
bark in it. There was a good flavor to it as well. Had a nice hint of smoke. How about you guys?
My only negative to it was a touch dry.
A touch dry.
But it was my third favorite.
Your third favorite.
And I put that as my second, and I wrote good, but the sauce was actually good too. So the sauce that came along with that was, to me, added to it. And I was talking earlier, we try to do all of them without sauce, right? Just to get the pure, but every barbecue sandwich or plate I've ever eaten has sauce on it.
Sauce on
it. So I tried a little bit with and without. So.
Yeah.
Well, I try to follow in the barbecue snobbery world that, you're supposed to stand on your meat alone. You're right. Yeah. And so I went and stood on these guys' meat alone. And I kind of went without sauce in my votes as well. So that was kind of number 1. Seems like it's received pretty high marks. I'll kind of give the big reveal now. Barbecue number 1 was from Hugh's Q on Highway 70 across from Valley Hills Mall.
Definitely going there. Yeah.
I met Brian, and we've tried to have him here on the podcast a couple of times. We talked about January, so we'll get him on there. But he's on Highway 70 right across from Valley Hills Mall. There's another big commercial barbecue chain that's moved in right down the road from them. I'm not going to say their name, but I will say we love locally owned barbecue joints in the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. That
so he's a local guy, local person,
local
as far
guy.
As you know.
Went to school with our producer, Andrew Moose. Yeah, solid guy. Went and met him, again, talked with him a little bit. I see him in there cooking the food. He's got the smoker right outside beside his little store. He's out there working it. He's the man bringing in all the vegetables and hauling the meat out to the smoker. It's him doing it. So,
but just to be clear, there's no paid advertisement here, even though
he
went to school with Moose.
Nope, I don't have any paid advertisers on this particular episode today.
Almost advertiser.
None of them on the barbecue that we've judged. Okay, so Hugh's Q, pretty good ranks for number 1. Number two. What did you guys think about number 2? And number 2 also got a lot of first place votes from our crew. They got a lot of votes out there. So for me, I thought number 2 really had good flavor. It had kind of a little bit of a different sweet hint to it that I thought was a nice tangy piece. And it also, to me, it looked good. It had the look of some pork that I want to eat. And I will confess that when I pulled that out of the container today, I looked at it and said, wow, that is that's good looking pork.
Yeah.
I had number 2 as my top.
As your top.
One. And then I put on there, it was balanced, and the seasoning, I really liked the way it was seasoned. Mm-hmm. But the smoke was balanced. That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, not too
wasn't overpowering or anything like that. Yeah.
I don't have that kind of a sophisticated labeling. I just said okay.
Okay.
But I said the pickled onion helps within it, so I had a bite with that. But it did look nice, like you said. But I did rate that as my third place out of all of them. So
I had third on that one too.
Good point. Okay, number 2, the big reveal. Big reveal number 2 is actually Cranford Brothers
All
Barbecue
right.
in downtown Hickory. We've had
good.
Chef Ben on the podcast, and they're doing a ton of cool stuff there at the old pawn shop, they call it, in downtown Hickory. And of course, the City Walk Brewery is there, and I know you guys are fans. I've seen you there. They've got the chick jam and biscuits, hot chick, I think, right?
Main
Jam and
chick.
biscuits. Main chick.
Main
Jam and
chick, yeah.
biscuits, right.
Main
Yeah,
Avenue.
so a lot of cool stuff going on at Cranford, and they put on a nice performance there with their pork, I would say.
It's good barbecue.
Which is good because I really have only eaten there once or twice, and I'm happy to see that maybe they're, to me, it's gotten better, or I'm pleased with it. But
Today's performance was good.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I've had it
Right.
a time or two, and I would say that of all the times I've visited, this is one of their better performances for sure.
go.
I don't know that maybe I've had the pulled pork before.
Yeah.
Maybe they knew. Today we're going to
Maybe.
give him something good. Of course, I hit these places like at
Thursdays. Hit
2
'em up
o'clock or
Thursdays.
3 o'clock in the
but
afternoon,
that's
so it's
right,
kind of
yeah.
slow.
Yeah.
You know, there weren't a lot going on. They weren't rushed. They had a chance to really pick me some choice pork, so
Good.
that's nice. I
Well,
said that.
that
All right,
helps.
all right. We talked about a couple of porks. I've had some reveals there. Let's talk about some of these beers you guys brought. What was our first beer?
Our first beer is Celebration Fresh Hop IPA from Sierra Nevada. This is a seasonal staple, if you will, craft beer. These are the OG craft beer guys. The red can, it's Christmassy, although it comes out around Thanksgiving. Luke, you said you had some memories. I've had memories, good and bad, with this.
Yeah, that was a double.
Not because it tastes bad or
Yeah.
anything, just because maybe I had too
Quantity.
many of a
Quantity.
6.8%.
I'm probably on that bus too. I've had
Yeah,
too
this was
many and it
a,
snuck up on me.
New Year's of 08
Oh, wait.
or
Okay.
09. 09. It was
right.
09. Yeah.
just
And
coming
you don't
off- just coming
remember?
off the
No, I
financial
don't remember.
crisis.
That's the
Is that
thing.
what
I
you
don't really
mean?
have anything else to say about it. I was drinking this, and that's pretty much it. That's
Yeah.
all I got.
I will say the fresh hop part of it is they get it is fresh hops when they brew. It's part of their tradition. They get the first harvest, and it's not the wet hop. They make a different beer with the stuff they get immediately from the farm or whatever. But this is like probably a week or two old, and it's but it's not pelletized. A lot of the stuff's pelletized. But this is like actual hops get dumped in.
Nice. I'm glad you brought these from Sierra Nevada. You know, we've been talking a lot about Hurricane Helene on the podcast, and obviously Sierra Nevada has a facility in Asheville. Do you guys know, was this brewed there? Is this part of that
Well, that is a good
operation?
question.
And how are things going as far as you know in Beerland, Asheville, or some of our favorite places? Sierra Nevada, being among
I think
them.
Sierra Nevada dodged a bullet, or they probably had tons
Being
of
the
debris
location
and
where they
stuff.
were,
Yeah,
right,
they're in Mills River, which is outside of that, but I think they were good except for the tourist aspect.
Right.
I'm sure they lost out on that. I don't think they lost anything on brewing like other some people lost their
destroyed,
entire
yeah.
Sure.
brewing
Everything
facility
down in that
or
River Arts
yeah.
District was
But
washed
stay tuned.
away.
We actually have a second Asheville beer that unplanned that what I brought. So we'll talk about that here
All
in a
right, we'll
second.
talk about
Yeah.
that here momentarily.
Very good.
Anything else y'all want to remember?
It's
about
good.
it?
No,
it
I
is a
mean,
good beer.
yeah.
I like it. It'll sneak up on you. I think it's a little bit heavier than you want to have for an all day drinking beer.
Yeah.
Or after a big old plate of barbecue, maybe.
Yeah,
It's
right.
good.
Not after a
Hey,
big
it
old
tastes
plate of
good. It
not
tastes
like
good.
It's a good it's a good
natural.
dinner
This is
beer.
my all day drinker.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the all day beer.
all
there.
day. I do have several guys from my high school crew that we get together with, do guys trips, and they'll say stuff about, you remember when we had those celebrations? I mean, that's like it's
It is.
it's a tradition,
It is a tradition.
Yeah, and I brought it in the 12-pack. That's the way to buy it.
Wow.
Just festive.
I mean, if you got the word
Share.
celebration on it, you want to
You want to have a
celebrate.
party.
Party.
Yeah,
If
for
you're gonna
sure.
have a party, you need 12 of them.
You need
Sure. Yeah, you need 12.
Appreciate you sharing them with us.
Yeah, no
thanks.
problem.
That's good stuff. Let's move back to our meat tray here. And sorry for all you out there that have to look at the food and not get to sample it. But I wanted to kind of keep it here so I could see what I'm looking at, describe what we had. Because number three on our barbecue tour. Any opinions on number 3 before I drop the news?
I mean, I'll start because out of all of us, I feel like I'm the least qualified to talk about barbecue because I don't love barbecue, right? I mean, that is if you gave me
Really, I wish you'd have said
choices.
something before we planned all this. We could have just had Luke and Matt.
Yeah, that's true. But I like to eat. That's the thing. I like to eat.
Oh, that's
I
right,
do
that's
like to
right,
eat. Like,
okay.
barbecue is not my favorite choice to go, eat if I'm hungry, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I did rank that as my last place one. because when you asked for pulled pork, I think they gave you just straight up chopped, like a chopped. I wrote a mess, like because it's just a compacted, just like an old, maybe a barbecue sandwich you might get in the school cafeteria or something, just like just pushed together.
Like the old sloppy Joe.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, hey,
I mean, I had it ranked at the bottom, but it was a little chopped and a little dry, but
I had it near the middle. It reminded me of a barbecue place of yore called Shell's Barbecue, and that's basically how it came.
Yeah,
and it was kind of like clumped together, but like you put you just gotta get in your mouth. And
now I will say one thing about that style of barbecue. So we had we had a barbecue place back home in Rutherfordton. Shout out,
Ralston.
They had a place there, and that's the style of barbecue they have. That is a good sauce barbecue. If you got a really good sauce
to cover up,
smother it.
Right.
I mean, really, that's the
That's the only one that actually there was sauce as part of what you got.
Yeah.
I mean, the meat was already sauced when you got it. The rest of them, it was just they just got meat. And again, to let all of our audience know at home, I served all these up in identical metal pie pans, so that nobody could tell the difference. There was one of these when I picked them up, it was in the refrigerator. So they gave it to me in a pound butcher paper wrapped wad of barbecue and a big tall thing of coleslaw, and he rang me up and sent me on my way. And anybody out there that's listening that is familiar with Hickory Barbecue, that's BBQ Pit. It's down below the Hum, one of our favorite concert venue here in the Hickory Metro, the Hum. But it's down behind the Hum, and they're open, like 10 to 3 every day, and they will sell you barbecue, but it will be cold. And you take it home and you do whatever you want to. So for this, I took it home and I busted it up and put it in the oven with the pan and had it heated up. And so I think I got it pretty hot for you guys. I think it wound up tasting pretty good. I will say that BBQ Pit provides a lot of the barbecue for restaurants around Hickory if they don't already have a pit. If they aren't like a barbecue restaurant and they're serving barbecue, chances are it came from BBQ Pit. I don't know if Shell's Barbecue falls in that category.
Maybe.
But I'm like you, it really is reminiscent of what I had from Shell. So I want you guys to talk about 3 some more and get that microphone from Luke because we have some studio audience here that we want to get some opinion from. Yeah. Jackson Jeffries has joined us the episode. And Jackson, you commented that this was one of your favorite. It was your favorite. What did you like about number 3?
So I thought it had kind of like an Asian aftertaste. Which was kind of unique. It was almost like a peanut flavor at the end.
Wow.
Did you
might have some peanuts on beer I was drinking before I ate it, but you never know.
You didn't let any of the juices from the other stuff slide. No,
interesting. Right.
So obviously, Jackson is a fan of number 3. Again, BBQ Pit. They do a good business because when I was sitting there, while I was in there, somebody drove up, and and the last time I've been, this is my second visit. The last time I went, another person drove up while I was leaving, and that person picked up a big box of stuff. Yeah. So it's popular. You're not the only one, Jackson.
Yeah. Apparently, I like regular non-barbecue restaurant barbecue.
But 20 years ago, I would say 20 that was the place to get a bunch of barbecue, right? If you were
like catering,
having
an event, you pick
right.
up.
And you get it had the plastic, and you had the plastic pull off the plastic lid. And
I've been to a catered event that was, I've been to birthday parties catered from BBQ Pit, and it is good. I mean, it's solid barbecue.
That barbecue smothered in some vinegar sauce with some hush puppies, you really can't go wrong with it.
Right.
I mean, it's not that it's bad. It's just
you're right. It's not. It's good. It's good.
Red
But I will
sauce.
say, when you stack it up next to some of these others, it
With no sauce,
doesn't really rival this. Jackson, while you've got the microphone on over there, tell me what your overall impression is, because a little background. Jackson is new to the Hickory Metro, and so I just kind of put you on the spot. What is your impression of the barbecue scene as we've portrayed it here in our buffet, as it is?
So, as I'm looking at the metal tins, I feel like if you look at them visually, 1, 2, and 6, at least when I got here and it was half eaten, all looked about the same.
Yeah.
But once you get into tasting them, I think 1 and 5 to me were really difficult to tell apart. 5 was maybe a little more juicy or moist than 1, but otherwise they were very similar. But and then the others, obviously 3 kind of stood out to me, but 4 and 5 I would say kind of the same thing about.
Yeah, and we had some. And Jackson, thanks so much for joining us. He's a barbecue enthusiast as well. Nice. Jackson's cooked up some ribs for us on an adventure, and so we wanted to have him come out and get his opinion on there. Again, as somebody who's from outside.
So here,
Hickory
you need to take my seat because I am the least qualified, like I told you.
But no, somebody from outside of Hickory coming in with sort of a unbiased opinion on it. And he didn't grow up eating number 3, whereas maybe some of you other Hickoryans, not the Roughton folks, but you came up eating it. So opinions on number 3. What about you, Luke? Any other thoughts on 3 before we move on to number 4?
No, like I said, I think that barbecue on a sandwich with some slaw and some really good sauce, sauce it up really nice. I mean, that's a good. That'd be a good sandwich with some hush puppies or onion rings. Onion rings are probably.
But you're going that down east flavor with the whole vinegar sauce. So let's.
I mean, I am very partial to down east barbecue.
There's nothing wrong with that. We like that, and I think BBQ Pit's kind of along those lines. Again, just to let everybody know, it's not a restaurant. It's just there's a man standing inside of a kitchen with a cabbage shredder and a refrigerator, and you walk in and you buy it by the pound. And you interrupt his watching of Andy Griffith's show, or in the heat of the night, I think he was watching it.
And a butcher block that is
worn curved,
from chopping
an arch
on it.
in it, Wow. And he'll go in there, he'll go in the refrigerator, get your pork, he'll go get your slaw, he'll ring it up on the thing, and it must be good, otherwise they aren't still around.
Oh, totally.
Moving on to number 4. Your opinions on number 4, and I'll save sort of some 4 commentary for y'all.
So my opinion on 4, it was a good barbecue. I had it in the middle. It was probably my 4th.
The 4th one,
the 4th was 4. And I mean, the only thing is that it was lacking a little bit in the smoke department. I couldn't pick up the smoke in it. And I really like smoke and seasoning. If I don't have sauce, you got to have that to stand out. So the smoke was a little lacking on that, but otherwise, I mean, it was a good flavored barbecue.
And I went. This is number 4, correct? Mm-hmm. I wrote dry, but sauce adds a lot of points. So the sauce that they delivered with that, I mean, I didn't pour it all over it or drown it in it, but I thought the sauce added some points. But
added quite a bit.
Yeah. I did have dry on mine too. Dry.
My least favorite.
Your least favorite?
Okay, I didn't say mine. Mine was next to last, but
okay.
Well, there were a couple that got least favorite votes, and those were number 4 and number 3. They got least favorite votes. I will say, and this is one where the sauce kind of comes into play, because we had another member of our studio audience that departed us. He's our backyard barbecue expert, Jeff Osborne, and he stepped in and tried it. And he actually, as he gave his rankings, once he put sauce on it, number 4 jumped to the top of his ranking. And so some's better with, some's better without. I felt like sauce, maybe was a little mild, maybe lacked a little bit of flavor for me, but then you add that sauce to it, and it really kind of helps kick it up a notch. And we got the vinegar from
which, to be fair, 99% of the people are going to eat, 99.9% of the people are going to smother this in sauce. So that makes a big deal. You got a good sauce, you can make up for any flavors. And maybe that's the whole idea, is that maybe you don't overseason it. Maybe you don't put some things in there because your sauce is what
somebody's going to come in and drop the sauce.
That's right.
And aren't all these so subjective? Like if they were on standalone, if you were at a party or at somebody's house and they had a catered, they would all be good.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it would all be good. Yeah. Again, standing by itself is great, but up against the competition, not everybody can be the Crimson Tide guys.
So 13?
Or the NC State Wolfpack. So let me tell you that our number 4 was Apple City Barbecue in Taylorsville, which is my homie Adam Dula. Went out and saw him, picked it up, had a little conversation with him. We've had him on the show as well. Generally, again, all their stuff is good, and I feel like the pork is really good. It's even better with the sauce. Maybe just not compared to all these other guys. So maybe we'll have another episode and do brisket or, chicken. We'll save that for another time. But today was pulled pork. That's where he come out. And now it is time, as you heard from the crack of Josh Elder, for another beer.
Yeah. So, sorry. What I'm pouring right here is to the camera. This is I mentioned a little foreshadowing. This is the second Asheville beer from Highland Brewing. So they have an annual Cold Mountain beer release, and so I went up there. I actually have. Let me just. Sorry for the delay here. So at the Cold Mountain beer release, as some of you know, right? This is
see if you can line them all up there.
This is their standard Cold Mountain recipe, if you will. But then they always have these special recipes. And so I went up there to the daily event, actually a whole weekend event, and of course brought a couple home, right? And this is the one that I have the most of left, which is only 2 beers of the breakfast stout.
Well, thanks for sharing it with us.
Well, I figured, hey, why not?
Yeah.
But so what they do is they brew several. The breakfast one here. Did you get one, Matt?
Oh, I did.
This one was pretty good.
That's good.
The coconut.
This is my favorite.
And then they have the hazelnut. They had a sugar cookie up there.
So which one is this?
This is the breakfast.
The breakfast stout.
Breakfast Cold Mountain spiced winter ale, which I mean it literally has winter ale in the name. So you're talking about a winter type
ale.
beer. This
this is a winter
maple
ale.
syrup.
Yeah,
it does.
It says it's got syrup
you taste
in it.
all of that.
Yeah.
Very syrupy.
And I don't know. Warm up to breakfast vibes with notes of maple pancakes, cherries, and coffee with chocolate shavings. So all that's probably in there.
Yeah.
But you mentioned about how Hurricane
That
Lean.
is delicious.
I'll give props to Highland. So they were one of the main breweries that they sit up on an elevated area, so weren't damaged by any of the floods. But they were actually, I think, one of the main centerpieces of. They were distributing waters.
They were like a hub
for all the necessary resources that people around that area. So shout out to them. And so when we heard they were doing it, we're like, we're definitely getting tickets to that one. We're going up there. We're going to support. And I bought a whole bunch of beer just to take home, just because I was like, hey, they've done so much for the community. So like I said, all these are good. We'll drink all these tonight if you want to.
Shoot, well,
that's good.
We wouldn't drink up all your good beer, but
this comes in at 8% as well.
Yeah.
So,
so that one I feel like is an imperial version of it, but it doesn't say that. But this one's only 5.9. So how they got to that by just adding some syrup and
I would have never guessed
trickery.
It doesn't really kind of kick you like a high octane beer ordinarily would. And again, just to kind of reiterate, they only release this time of year every year.
That's correct.
And it's not the same beer every year, so it's a little bit
their same one, right?
So that one tastes the same every year.
The recipe, I don't know if it's the same recipe. Okay. I can't speak, but I think this one is. All of these are specialty brews. Like
there's a coconut one.
Variants.
Variants of that.
So that's a winter warmer, is what that's called. The original.
Okay.
It's basically a spiced ale.
Right. Okay.
But it tastes like a winter beer. Yeah. Spices and
some of these, I mean, they just invoke vibes of like chocolate hazelnut. I mean, that's to me, it's a cookie, like you said.
Or,
the coconuts and anyway. So. Enjoy.
Good choice. Yeah. Fantastic beer. Thanks
I'm
for
still
sharing.
trying to get the flavor in my head of the red hot on the cookie. and then the more I think
would have brought some, but we
literally
ate them
been
all.
thinking about that since you said that.
You haven't had any of those?
I've never had the cookie with the red hot on it, but I'm just sitting here thinking how delicious that would be.
I've got a picture.
Can you get a recipe?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe share that. Maybe we can push it out in the blog.
I love
17th of
I've
February.
got it in my grandmother's handwriting.
So you do make them, though. You make them now.
Yeah.
Dude, those
there we go.
red
We don't
hots
need
are
the
probably
recipe. You
one
just
of my
make
favorite
some.
candies.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. That's good. I'm glad you raised that question because that kind of brings us into another topic that I wanted to raise with you guys. We talked about your favorite holiday food, but you walk into the Christmas table, all the food's on it. Your ham's there, your holiday cookies there, maybe some sausage balls are there, all the good stuff, all your favorite things. As a kid, you dream of waking up and seeing all the stuff Santa brought you, but maybe as a grown-up, you dream of, wow, look at this spread for holiday, Christmas, breakfast or brunch or lunch or dinner, whatever it is that you do. Undoubtedly, there's something on that table, though, that you're always going to skip.
Avoid.
None for me. No thanks. Oh, come on, you like it. No, none for me. What is it? What is y'all's least favorite? What would you always skip at the holiday dinner table?
For me, it is the figgy pudding.
You go to events where they're figgy pudding.
I've never had it. But the song, like, bring me some figgy pudding. I've never. What is that?
You've never seen it.
I've never seen it.
I think it just sounds terrible. It's figs in a pudding, I'm guessing, right?
What's wrong with either one of those things?
It may be delicious.
It just sounds awful. So don't bring. My song is "Don't Bring Me the Figgy."
You're
pudding.
a figgist.
Well, now I will say for me, The one thing, and it only shows up on rare occasions. Egg custard.
Egg?
Really?
Like an egg custard. Mm-hmm. You know, like it looks like a little pie.
Yeah.
Sometimes I really like egg custard, but for Christmas, every now and then there'll be an egg custard sitting there, and I won't touch it.
Not for you. Huh?
No.
I don't
think
think
the
I've
mood
ever
has to be
seen-
right.
Ever seen an egg
No,
custard?
who's bringing what
Like
high
I'm saying.
society, what high society are you living
Like
in?
I'm
People are
saying.
bringing you egg custard.
You're the one that's having figgy pudding.
My
what
grandma,
high society are you living in?
My grandma makes
London. I'm from London, England.
my grandma makes a delicious egg custard.
Okay.
But
Sorry, Granny.
Is
on
that
Christmas.
Is that different than a flan? Flan?
Flan.
yeah, the way that our family makes it, I mean, it's like in a pie pan,
Obviously
like
not as good.
like a regular pie pan. But it's just, I mean, I don't know,
Egg custard.
It's just egg custard.
Yeah.
Is it like whipped or is it like thick,
It's
like a cheesecake or something?
It's like a soup, like a souffle, I guess you could say, but it doesn't have the crust on the top.
Okay.
So similar to like a cheesecake,
right.
but not
Yeah.
as
But
hard.
it's just eggy. I don't know how to describe it.
Okay.
What about you, Matt? Your least favorite?
So mine is still to this day probably the root vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like
Turnips,
turnips.
Oh, yeah.
It's like turnips, parsnips, and carrots.
rutabagas.
Which I kind of like those separate, but the way that they're prepared, and I mean, my mom makes them, and my mom's like one of the best cooks I know, but I really still to this day don't like those root vegetables.
But it's 2024. Who's still making turnips and parsnips?
My mom.
Depends on where you are. If you're in Ireland, I'm sure you're having that.
Turnips, I eat everything. Like there is literally nothing that I will not eat but turnips.
Right.
The smell.
Yeah.
The smell of cooked turnips just it just turns.
Well, there's
like
a
all
texture
the senses
thing,
get
too.
turned. I get turned down.
Yeah.
Turn down for turnips.
Yes. Yeah.
And we're not talking the greens. We're talking about the
now
root.
the greens,
The root itself.
Turnip
the green's a different
greens,
story.
I'll kill some turnip greens.
Yeah, different.
With
But
some
just
ham
the root
and some
turnip.
vinegar. Mm-hmm. Oh, I could eat piles of turnip greens.
Yeah.
But it's the actual turnips that I can't do.
The root vegetables. I'm with you.
It's like a tradition too. For that, she like always makes it because it's a tradition, but nobody eats it. You know?
Although
they eat it, my parents do. But
is it turnips, cabbage, and sausage that you put together? Is that something?
You could. But
Bangers and mash.
Maybe that's what it is.
Tatties
but
and
no,
neeps.
that's good. I love Irish.
That's a
food.
different holiday.
just got it.
Yeah. I don't know which mine is. I guess I'm spoiled, and then I show up at the table, and there's not anything I don't want, or whoever is preparing it has asked beforehand, what all do y'all want? And they know I'm not going to eat chicken livers or chitlins for Christmas dinner, or turnips or rutabaga, or none of those things are going to be on the table. So I don't really have to skip anything. I don't really put a lot of like the turkey giblet gravy and all that kind of
I
stuff.
like the chunky gravy.
I don't do that stuff. I don't want maybe a little on my dressing, but I don't do a lot of that.
Yeah. I think that's the point. Like from a traditional standpoint, I think now we're at the phase of life that same. We don't have a lot of we did it because my great grandmother's doing it, but it's more like same. Get what food's out there that everybody's going to eat. We're going to have a big old feast and just go at it.
Yeah, we're not going to put something out there, pay for it, prepare it, cook it, put it on the
Too much
table,
effort,
and then
yeah.
everybody skip over the rutabaga or
we
the
have-
salad mold that's in the congealed salad.
Yeah. Well, so in our family, it's like you know what to expect. Like I could probably tell you for Thanksgiving, I could name 90% of everything that's going to be on the table.
Yeah,
It's been there
I like
every
that.
year.
That's right.
since I was a
Yeah, I
kid.
do like that.
Christmas is the same way. And if we're doing a meal, sometimes we'll do a meal for Christmas, but sometimes it's just like, finger foods like the little smokies, the funeral sandwiches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have some more.
The beef stroganoff. Do you ever have that for Christmas?
No, but I
stroganoff?
love
That
it.
would be delicious.
My mom makes a beef stroganoff dip. And it's like without the noodles. It's the beef stroganoff, but without the noodles. And you dip like crackers and put cheese in it.
I don't
It's
know.
really
Part of beef stroganoff for me is the noodles. So if I could
Yeah.
just dip the noodles in there,
I mean, yeah.
it's
That
not
sounds
terribly
great.
convenient. Okay, let's get back to you go right ahead and pour
wanna
that
jump-
up.
you wanna
I would
pour
love
different
to
one?
have some more of whatever you're pouring. And I do
I'm
want to
good
go
with
on
you.
finish this
to
one,
barbecue meat number 5. Number 5. So number 5, I'll see if I can find my notes here. Number 5. Some of my notes were that it looked good. It had a really good flavor. Had a nice smoky flavor to it. Again, I like the appearance of number 5. Those are some of my thoughts. What about you guys?
I had I wrote it was a good moisture level, had balanced smoke, but the seasoning was just a little lacking in seasoning. But it was I ranked it number 2.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Oh wow. I had it as number 5. I thought it tasted good, but it was like.
What is number 5?
Yeah, I know, but the 5th one, the moistness came off as kind of sliminess to me, which was a little off-putting.
That's fair.
But I thought it had good flavor. I just didn't like the texture. That was my synopsis.
Number 5, I will say that now that we're kind of getting down to the end, and we'll talk about the championship voting, there were 3 entries that going into the last taste tester were all tied in a 3-way tie for first place.
Oh.
And number 5 was one of those.
Okay. Oh, okay.
For whatever it's worth. And number 5 came to us from Anywhere's Fine. Everybody looks at me like I've never heard of that.
Where is that?
Where is that one?
Well, look, okay, so it's maybe not everybody's heard of it. It's another one of those that pops up in occasionally. Where's the best barbecue you can get in Hickory? In the Hickory bubble, or the good, the bad, and the ugly, or some of those other things that you see out in Hickory social media. Anywhere's Fine's popped up there. I've been up there a couple of times. It's right in downtown Hudson.
Oh.
If you can get to the Hudson Uptown building, you go across the railroad tracks, take a left.
Hudson has an uptown?
Oh, it does.
And a downtown?
No, it does have a downtown. It just has an uptown.
I've never heard anybody say
Uptown Hudson. The Hudson Uptown building is in downtown Hudson.
Oh, the name is Hudson Uptown?
The name of the building is the Hudson Uptown Building.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought they were trying to go
or the
Charlotte.
hub. They called it the hub.
Oh, yeah. It's in that building?
Hudson Uptown.
No, it's
okay.
around the corner from
Around
that.
the corner, okay.
It's in
I know
another
where
kind
that
of
building is.
nondescript building. It really looks like kind of it's not what you would expect for a barbecue restaurant when you go inside. But he's got a smoker out back, and Anywhere's Fine got started as a food truck. All these other guys that we've talked about, I think, unless I'm mistaken, they all got started as just they were restaurants. Well, Anywhere's Fine started out as a food truck catering around Caldwell, Catawba, Burke counties, doing a good business. I think probably a couple of years ago, maybe it was earlier this year if I remember correctly, they opened a brick and mortar location there. He still does food truck stuff at events. You'll see him at the Blackberry Festival up in Lenoir, whatever's going on. You'll see him at some of these things. But now he's got a brick and mortar location. They do a pretty good business. He's got a bar in there. It's really nice and clean. Anyway, number 5. Anywhere's Fine with a Z.
They have a bar at a barbecue place? That's cool.
It is out of the ordinary.
Barbecue.
Yeah. But not a lot of barbecue places have alcohol.
Because they're more
That is
down home,
true.
like, what do you call it, blue laws. They,
like before,
old
they
school
stuck
thing.
with prohibition type
Right.
things or dry counties or whatever.
As I kind of look down the list, them and Cranford are the only 2 that have barbecue. And Cranford, that have a bar, that have alcohol. You would expect that from Cranford because they also have a brewery on site. So they're going to sell their own stuff. But you're right. It's not common. A lot of the old school barbecue restaurants don't sell alcohol.
I want to get you in and out. Get the barbecue and go, boy.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't go together
Don't
great.
hang
I think we
around.
talked before.
Don't have another beer.
The pork and the alcohol don't always go
It's
together.
already
in your
hit me
stomach
like,
really
oh,
well.
I think it goes great together.
So, full disclosure, first of all, you said it's in Hudson. I probably won't ever stop in Hudson after we got in a fight with South Caldwell baseball in 10th grade. So, probably won't visit them unless they're on the food truck somewhere else. So, I might.
Do you think that there's some of those baseball players are still lurking the streets
There might be. They're
Hudson?
probably working because them boys were rough. They're probably, who knows? They're probably working there.
Back in '74.
Yeah, that was close.
Back in the day.
91.
91,
So I'm
yeah.
not taking my chances. But I did rate that the 3rd best. No, I'm sorry. What did I rate that? First? No, 3rd. Third, but for 1 point. But I said it was moist, and you mentioned that the moistness kind of
It's too
off-putting
much,
for you,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I thought it gave me like that juiciness that I crave versus the dryness.
Had a good flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Last one, number 6. The final entry, and I look at it, my plate. Gosh, it seems like it was so long that we started this journey, this meat journey that we're on.
Yeah.
It's hard remembering what we did, 30 minutes ago when we tried this food.
First of all, meat journey, that's a great journey for some people. go on a meat journey.
A meat journey. I did. I did today. It was 6
That's
meat
a great
crawl.
band name.
Meat crawl,
Meat
bar
crawl.
crawl, meat crawl.
I'm on my meat
journey.
crawl. I'm on third
I mean,
meat
it's not
crawl
something you
this
want
week.
your wife or your daughter to go on, probably, but
No,
This is a family show.
sorry.
might be a game changer. You might have some life changes after that.
that's
You know what I'm saying?
No, before I get to number 6, and I introduced the door, and I'm going to try to pull us back on the tracks here.
We're moving on.
We're moving on. Before I get to number 6, let me rein us back in here. I forgot to talk about this. You guys have been around Hickory for a while. You've been to some of these places, except maybe anywhere is fine. Yeah. Before you walked in the door today, what were your initial prejudices? What were your initial opinions about Hickory Barbecue? And think about that for a second. I'm gonna stall and say first. Also, there's a lot of other barbecue in Hickory I didn't make it to. I only went to 6 of them. Little Pigs in Newton is one of my favorites. I guess it's Broadway Barbecue in Morganton is really good over there. There's several other barbecue places that we didn't make it to just because, look, it's a geographical thing. I made a big loop around Caldwell, Alexander, and Catawba County, and it worked out well. And these, again, were the ones that we heard about from on social media. So there's a lot of other ones out there that we didn't make it to. Maybe they'll be on there another time. But what are the notions that you had about Hickory Metro Barbecue when you walked into today's blind taste test?
My expectations were not high.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And it's because that living in eastern North Carolina for a while, you sample that style of barbecue, and it's just a completely different world out there. Mm-hmm. And with the vinegar based and the way it's done with the whole hog smoking and all that gets chopped up in it or pulled and put.
It's all in there.
It's all in there. It's just a different style of barbecue. Mm-hmm. And so my preferences are tuned. I guess my palate is tuned toward that a little bit because with the barbecue I had growing up was, it was okay. But when you go out there, that style of barbecue to me is just, that's the pinnacle.
That's the pinnacle.
That's pinnacle barbecue.
Okay. So we've got an Eastern bias there. That's
but I will say this: from what we had today, there's some really good barbecue around here.
Yeah,
really, and with having no expectations coming into it, I was very surprised.
I was pleasantly surprised as well. What about you guys?
Same. I was gonna say, growing up, maybe that's why I don't love barbecues. I feel like there were no great barbecue places because besides Matt and I are the ones who grew up here. I wouldn't say there was ever a favorite. Yeah. I mean, you go like Post Office Barbecue, Hannah's Barbecue. It had those places with the name barbecue.
Well, and there's one that was around that's not here anymore, Hickory Smokehouse.
I would say Hickory Smokehouse, but again, I grew up on the south side of Hickory. Didn't make it over the north side a lot. That was on northwest. I was Post Office Barbecue guy myself.
Post Office Barbecue, right? That's another one that was around that's no longer here.
Right, and you mentioned Shells, right?
They may have also gotten theirs from Barbecue.
Hey guys, true or false? The pit served barbecue to PO barbecues.
Okay, that's probably, and I was
true.
Say that.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Knowing that information, because back then I didn't think as a kid I was like, are they smoking their own barbecue or whatever? But it was just like that was the place you got, and that was the sound you got. It was compacted. It had it was on a bun. So we all probably grew up on the pit.
Man, I feel hornswoggled now.
So
now, prior to pit PO going PO changing over, so he sold that later on, but he was actually smoking his own there for a little while. I know that at the end of it.
The Post Office Barbecue?
Yeah. That's where
Heart and Soul.
Heart and Soul.
Heart and Soul.
Yeah. So the ownership changed, and then he was smoking his own there for a while, and then it changed again, and then one more time to Heart and Soul
to the breakfast thing it is now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it. We go there a lot.
So, but back to his point, pleasantly surprised that there are this many options. The fact that it has a question on social media about where's the best place to get barbecue, that says enough, right?
Mm-hmm. That's pretty good.
And there's multiple answers, so kudos. Maybe I'll turn into a meat lover.
We can make you a meat lover.
Yeah.
Once you have a taste, no, that's not right. What about your thoughts?
Well, I was just my thought going into that question was gonna be, I have this nostalgic thing about Shells. I'm not saying that it was the best barbecue ever, which that reminded me of it, the barbecue pit.
Would say this, yeah.
But just the atmosphere, and they had 2 locations, and we frequented both of them. It was just kind of a hangout place. But even my girls loved that place. So when they were little, we took them there, and they had the little the kids' meals came in the little 57 Chevys or whatever. Yeah, that was so cool. But I don't know if that was about the barbecue or just the place. And they had awesome food too.
They
like
did.
Burgers.
Well, they topped it with slaw, probably pickles and
that's my kind of thing coming in. It's like I remember that. It's like a memory thing. So that's kind of what I am prejudiced against these other ones that were probably more realistic barbecue, like actual real barbecue. Yes. You know, like even the look of it.
Well,
know,
I would say that look aside, all of these were smoked over live fire. None of these were, microwaved or crock pot or pellet smoked. They were all live fire smoked. I know you cracked your third beer, and we're going to get to that, but I feel like we shortchanged number 6.
Oh, yeah.
Because I skipped on to your Hickory perceptions. But what were y'all's thoughts about number 6?
So, 6 was up there for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little dry, but at the same time, the smoke was good and the seasoning was right there. So, and this is lacking with sauce. This is no sauce.
No sauce.
And by process of elimination, I'm guessing this is the one that what I'm going to say is within the last 10 years, this is the place that everybody gets barbecue from.
Right, JD Smokehouse.
So surprisingly, I ranked it 4th, which, again, every catering, every party you go to, everybody's like, "Oh, wait, the JD's get this." And it was like everybody thought that was the Mecca,
That's
right?
the place,
but still good. But
definitely,
I had good. I marked out good and put decent after I had all of them. So
all of them,
but I can't argue that. And plus, you add all their sides that go along with it. That's going to push that thing over the top.
Right.
You have.
Well, in our previous episode, we had JD's alone, and the brisket, I remember, knocked our socks off. And that's kind of the thing. Everybody comes in with, but you need to have JD's. Right. Oh, try JD's. Have JD's. And JD's is really good. Their sides are really good. Yeah. All of it is really good. Last time we had the chicken.
Yes.
And it had a nice moisture. They kind of think they put broth in there when they packed it in there. So it was so moist. It had a great flavor on it. And the brisket's super good. The pork here, again, it was good. This came from the Gamewell location. The original's in Rutherford College, but over the last few years, they've opened a location in Gamewell.
Also in Caldwell County, but West Caldwell. I don't have beef against West Caldwell, just so you'll know.
Okay.
They're okay.
Well, that's because they've been everybody's punching bag for generations, but in the athletic realm anyway. So that's the first time I've ever been to Gamewell. Right. But so this was from the Gamewell location. I thought it was good. It was good flavor. But just like you say, everybody comes charging in with you need to have JD's. It didn't receive the votes that we got for Hugh's Q, Cranford Barbecue, and Anywhere's Fine. Again, it's not to say anything against JD's. Exactly.
I had
great.
I
love
had them
it.
at number 2.
Okay.
I thought it looked the best. That was the best, looking. And I thought I wrote meatiest.
That's the one Jackson's still eating out of.
I had a rank. It was between 1 and 6 for me, but I don't know. That was good stuff.
Yeah. Interesting.
Like
good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff for sure. It was a good exercise. I think it was eye-opening. Cool. We all recognized, hey, Hickory's got some barbecue options.
What's interesting about all this is that I think a big part of a good barbecue restaurant is it can't solely rest on the meat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it is sauce.
That's the draw.
A lot of it is sides.
Yeah.
But when you think about what's a great barbecue place, you're going to take it all in. I mean, you're going to have the barbecue with the sauce with the sides.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it all has to be good, really, because you can't have if you just had good barbecue and your sides suck. I mean, that's going to be a knock against you, I think.
I have another local reference or shout out, but I was going to say I thought about atmosphere, and the one in Rutherford College has a great atmosphere. JD's.
Yep.
Just feels like a barbecue place.
It does.
But I was going to say Sims Barbecue.
Sims.
In Alexander County. That's a great atmosphere.
A little clogging, a
little square dancing.
Right.
And they have good barbecue there.
It is.
Music.
Live
It's
music.
solid. Yeah. I will say the barbecue is solid. It's not good.
But back to the
you can't get takeout. You got to go and be the
back-
experience in the environment.
And back to the JD's. What, they're open Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
It's a weekend celebration.
That's is that a drawback? Like Cranford Brothers, you can get every day
all
of
the
week.
time.
Yeah.
Hughes Q probably every day of the week.
All the time.
Does that make JD's even?
Well, Apple City's only on the weekend. Apple City's Thursday, Friday,
Saturday. Does that change your perception? Like, I can only get it certain times. It's so good.
Yep.
Yeah.
That gives you a little bit of a, it's
McDonald's.
rare.
McDonald's would be great if it was open one day a week, right? You'd be like, I'm going to get a filet of fish. That's the best fish sandwich I can get.
It's a barbecue show. We're having McRib.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm just going to plug this. The best barbecue I've ever had was Bee's Barbecue in Greenville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
It is a rundown little shack of a building, and beside it, it's made of cinder blocks, like where they do the barbecue, and it's basically cinder block pits with big fans in there, and that's where they cook it with what's it, rebar. They got rebar over there, and that's they lay the whole hog on there, and that's how they smoke the barbecue.
Yep.
They open at 11.
Is that a pun? Rebar, like for the barbecue?
Well, no, it's just like literally construction rebar. and they open at like 10:30, 11, and when they sell out, they sell out.
Yeah.
So
it's done.
Usually 2:00. Yeah. If you don't get in line by 10:30, 11.
Yeah, supply and demand. That creates some urgency. You need to have this now. And you talk about the environment, and that's a good point that you guys didn't get to see the environment. Y'all know what these places have been, or like you've been there, with the exception of Anywhere is Fine. And again, as a new restaurant, it's still fairly sterile inside. They don't have you walk into JD's, and there's pigs everywhere. This one in Gamewell, I got a picture of it, and everybody look for it out on Instagram because I have pictures from all this stuff, all of our food, all the restaurants, all that'll be on Instagram, and we'll have a blog up soon. But they've got this big pig out front. You go inside, and you've got the old-timey Coca-Cola signs and the soda pop signs and the old motor oil and automotive gas station type things. It's like a down-home barbecue type
flies
restaurant.
Is key. Like if there's a bunch of flies going around, that is even better. But the flies are coming in the restaurant.
I don't know. That's Luke.
I bet Bees got.
Hey, what makes a good
flies get to though? I mean, that's
one of the best. But another really good restaurant out around Greenville is called the Starlight. Have you ever? You know what I'm talking about? So back in the day, you'd go in there, and there was this old man in there, and he had a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and he was chopping barbecue. And every now and then, you would see the ash falling in.
Yeah,
didn't care. Smoky flavor. That
was back before
flavor.
Smoking. It was. They could still smoke.
It was all part of the smoking process. It was just a different smoke.
That's right.
Okay.
You got some Marlboro.
We've been through the 6. We've talked about each one of them. Y'all probably got a pretty good idea of what our favorites are. Before we go to the big tally, I want to go to beer number 3. And I see you've brought a classic.
Nitro.
It's a Guinness.
Cheers. Slancha.
I mean, you can't go wrong with a Guinness.
Gosh.
A Guinness with nitro.
Oh,
it's perfect. Not when you have tiny glasses, though.
Right.
Hey, look,
I'm
going to watch it flow.
But I brought a Stein.
Look at that. That's great, though.
I feel like I thought about everything except a big glass for my Guinness.
Well, you didn't know that we were bringing it, or Luke.
Right.
I would say
this for me is that's my go-to. All seasons, but especially when it's cold outside. Like a Guinness to me it's perfect. It's not strong. It's about clocks in around 5%. It's a classic.
You beauty.
And I just love looking at it.
It gives you wings.
It's like just pouring it, and then it's a patient man's beer.
Oh, that's Red Bull with the wings.
It's a patient man's beer. You have to
like girders. That's Iron Brew.
Oh, it does. It's vitamins. Guinness has the.
It does have the vitamins in it. What about mixing it with cider?
I've never done that.
Is that what it is? Snake bite?
That's what I've always. In Scotland, during my brief time there, they called it a snake bite, and they mixed the cider. It was Strongbow and Guinness. Boy, and a few of those, and be in trouble walking down the Leith Walk.
Especially as an American, because same way. I had a guy when I went over there, and we lived over there for a couple of months, but he fell in love with those. So every bar he'd go like, "Can I get a snake bite?" And they're like, "Yeah, you can." And he would have like 2 or 3.
Yank.
Like,
we know you, Yank.
But,
Dude, what about a black and tan with bass?
Right.
That was good. I used to.
You just like a Guinness straight up.
Guinness.
Yeah. On nitro.
or the Irish car bomb.
Yeah, it has to be nitro.
Yeah,
It has to
Drop the shot of
Jaeger.
Jaeger inside
Yeah.
the Guinness and just pound it.
What about with the
Or
fancy
there's a
shamrock?
Jameson.
Oh, I was
on
going
the
to say,
top?
if you've ever had a proper pour on draft and they let it rest, they pour, let it rest, and they come back and draw the designs in there, that is the most
shamrock.
fantastic
Yeah.
thing you've ever seen.
Okay, so I messed up. That was a Jaeger bomb.
I know, but the
Irish car bomb is Jameson's
Jameson's inside the Guinness. That's right.
Yeah. Still good.
I think I'll just stick with the Guinness or a
With
snake
cider, you mean like a fireball? Like Fireball in there? Or
bite. No, like apple cider.
just regular apple cider.
Well, it's a hard
half
cider.
Oh, okay, I
Like a
got that.
strongbow
Hard
or a
cider.
woodchuck, like they're talking about.
I got
And
you.
they'll serve them to you at the tap room. They call it a black widow, I think, or a black velvet.
Yeah.
And they always try to, the fancy thing is to separate them, so they'll draw the cider in, and then they draw it again.
yeah.
And so they look real fancy. I don't want them separated. I just let it mix
mix it
up
all
because
together.
the cider really enhances the sweetness of the Guinness and gives it that little bit of an
almost
extra.
put the cider
You're going
in
to be
there
in the
first.
gutter at the
I
end of
think
the
it
night.
could be any lager plus a cider is a snake bite, but I could be wrong. I mean, I know this is a stout, but I feel like there's a couple of varieties of beer. And if you mix it with a cider, that you get snake bitten from that.
Yeah.
I've been snake bitten a few times.
Well, this is I feel like this is very low ABV too. This is
That's what I like.
4.1.
Yeah, 4.1. There you go.
This is a session beer.
I mean, it is to me, it's the perfect beer. I could drink this
Well,
all
it's good
day.
for you. That's what they're
It is my favorite beer of
advertisement.
all time.
Advertisements always said the vitamins are very good.
It's
for you.
good for you.
Yes.
And it's different here than it is there. So you had it over there?
Only in Scotland, not in Ireland, right
Okay.
where it's brewed. But Scotland's
Okay.
close enough, right?
I had it. Well, it's different.
Seems fresh.
I've had it in
Fresh.
Ireland. Yeah, St. James Gate. The water that comes from there.
So how different is it, really? Like so.
I didn't sit down and have an American Guinness next to it, but it
Nowadays,
tasted different.
probably better though.
And I mean,
because
just
it's
like
brewed
a
in
beer on
winter.
tap tastes better and different.
Yeah.
Plus, you're in a room in Ireland, and they say you can drink, all the Guinness you want to drink in,
Yeah.
an hour. I think now it's
Atmosphere.
like you can have 2 Guinness at the end of the tour.
You know what's better though here? It's barbecue.
Barbecue is better.
Better in North Carolina.
And
than
what is
anywhere
the-
in the
What do
world.
they even call it
Anywhere in
over
the world.
there? Roast
That's
pig.
my point. That's where we're coming
I'll
back.
second that emotion.
Right. All these people who say barbecue, they're talking about actually grilling or going on the patio and having
Cooking out.
Cooking, yeah.
out.
But North Carolina barbecue,
Burgers.
hands down.
It's where it was born. It's where it is still the best. And in Hickory, where we call home, we've tallied up all the votes and decided which one is the best among the 6 that we tried tonight. And again, it was within really a 2 vote margin. Our winner is barbecue number 1 from Hugh's Q.
Oh, wow.
Hughes Q.
Number 2 went to Cranford Barbecue by 1 vote, and number 3 by 1 more vote down was Anywhere's Fine.
Okay.
So those were kind of, again, everybody had a little bit of a different flavor. Some folks like number 3, some folks like number 6, number 4. There are a few votes for them, but by and large, the majority, everybody had something to say about 1, 2, or 5. So if you look at it on my score
Look at
sheet
that.
here on
That's
YouTube,
official.
if
That
you're
is
listening
official
to it,
right
and
there.
watching it on the video, you can see the official scores there. And again, there were some that was like, hey, is one way with sauce, is one way without. But again, I think we can all decide at the end of the day, while there were 1 or 2 that were maybe 1 or 2 points better than the rest, they were all just good barbecue. Solid barbecue. You
Yeah.
can't go wrong in any place.
True.
Agreed.
Unless you go to BBQ Pit and you want it hot.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
you just got to go home. and
Yeah,
heat it
you
up.
just got to go heat it up. Yeah.
And it's good then, too.
On a sandwich with some slaw
Some sauce.
and some sauce
And so,
with some hush puppies.
guys, thank you much
this was a
for
heck of a
another
time.
holiday
Fun.
edition. We
Awesome.
didn't talk about our sweaters, but I feel like you guys brought some new heat. This one with the elephant is nice. Roll
It is
Tide.
very nice. Thank you. Oh, well, it wasn't that. It was more of
No,
a...
it
that
is
is
that.
totally
It's
Roll
always
Tide.
that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
All
Roll Tide.
elephants are
As a
Alabama
matter of fact, I
elephants.
think last episode, Christmas episode, I think I wore this, and you probably mentioned that. But this has like Christmas. It maybe has a little Kwanzaa flavor. I'm trying to go like
Yeah, you got
everything. Christmas tree, bells.
You got a little bit of everything.
No
on there.
candles, no lights for.
It's on the back. You just
Jewish
can't see
friends.
it.
Okay.
It says eight candles for the menorah on the back. Yeah,
Very nice.
Sweet.
yeah. It's just not a camera view that can see that. So,
Well, I got one of these walk-arounds we never did use.
Oh, well.
We'll save it.
thank you for having us
2025.
because I would say this. Normally we've done this in my little separate room in my house, but it's filled with Christmas presents right now. We'd have to be sitting on like somebody's dresser or whatever we're getting from Christmas. I don't know what we're getting people.
Hey, here we go.
Bean bags.
Have another one.
So thanks for having us
Yeah.
here. Thank you, Andrew
That's right.
Moose, as producer.
Yes.
Producer, I'll give us a sign off here. But again, Luke, Matt, thank you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
To the audience.
Great to be here.
To the
Thank you.
audience. Thanks, Jeff, for voting as well. Jeff Osborne out in the world. Thanks as well to Jackson Jeffries, who joined us. Again, with this, we'll try to wrap it up here, I guess. You guys are kind of naturally wrapping it up for us. That's
We don't
great.
have to. I mean, I got tons of beer. He's
Well,
got
we
tons
can
of-
wrap up the podcast and keep drinking tons
That's
of beer.
right.
Perfect.
That's what I'm
I
talking
think we probably have
Sounds
to
good.
put the coleslaw on something cold
Okay.
if we're going to escape. I don't know.
about. Why do they call
food
it
poisoning.
coleslaw, like COLE? Do you think the guy who made it?
His name is Cole.
It's
It's
Cole.
like, hey, Cole,
This
you
is
got
his
some of that
law.
slaw?
Right.
Here's the
Coleslaw,
law for
coleslaw.
cabbage from now on.
Yeah.
Or was it cold slaw?
It's
And
an
they-
old
and then somebody
Irish
in the South
thing, I
like,
feel
hey,
like.
you got that coleslaw.
Cole's Law. And it
Cole's Law?
Cole's Law.
Well,
yeah.
let me just say that all I know is that
he's
none
like
of these
wrapping up.
Coles laws can lay a finger on my Coles laws. My Lexington coleslaw is fire. But that's an episode, a conversation for another episode. For this episode, thanks so much for listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. I want to remind everybody you can find out more at lowslowbbqshow.com. That's where we got our blog. We got other podcast episodes. You can see everything there. Check us out on Instagram as well, Low and Slow BBQShow.com. There'll be less hamming, but more barbecue there as well. And of course, if you like what you hear on the Low and Slow Barbecue Show, please be sure and give us a 5-star vote on your favorite podcast stream. That way, other people can help us find it, and then share it with your friends, like these friends and our friends that we've got out there. Share it with your friends so they can find it too. Special thanks to our producer Andrew Moose. Thanks as well to the Three Beer Down gang, Matt, Luke, and Josh. Thanks as well to Jackson and Jeff, who joined us here as our judges, and the other folks who've supported us. Mrs. Wizard, who supported us, she helped out with all this as well, as always, as she does with everything. So, again, thanks so much for everyone for listening. Again, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year. We got more great things coming on the Low and Slow Barbecue Show in 2025, including, the Carolina Barbecue Festival's coming up in April. It'll be here just before you know it. But for today, we're going to wrap it up and remind everybody that, remember, for the best barbecue and the best barbecue podcast, make it low and slow.